All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Shed Geek Podcast. And working from home today. Just got back from a speaking event in Oklahoma with Atlee Stewart and his lovely crew out there with Burnett Affordable Buildings. What a just like awesome group of people, and really refreshed me for this week. And outside of my son's graduation, my daughter getting married 2 weeks from today, I had this podcast, man, scheduled for today that I've been looking forward to, and it's kind of been a little time coming together. But Joe, you want to introduce yourself, your name, a little bit about who you are, and just kind of surface information about what you do.
Yeah, what's up? Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, my name is Joe Ignace. Weird last name, hard to say, so I'll just say it for everybody out there. Yeah, a little bit about me and where I'm from and all that kind of stuff. Well, I live in Knoxville, Tennessee, so that's where I'm out of, and I am a entrepreneur at heart, and graduated from the University of Tennessee and accounting back in the day. Also, like some numbers background there. Yeah, I grew up in Johnson City, Tennessee, kind of a smaller town, upper northeast side, kind of towards the mountains. Kind of an interesting story of where I got to where I'm at now. I was actually born in Glasgow, Scotland, of all places.
Nice.
So I'm not allowed to be president there, Shannon. So
Oh
that's a
no,
bummer.
I was totally gonna vote for you, man. So that's the
Yeah, I know.
yeah.
I know. It's a bummer. So at least that's what they say. I don't know if that's actually 100% true. Um, yeah.
You have my vote either way, man. We should run on a ticket together. What do you think? We'll run on a
Yeah,
ticket.
they'll just do it. That sounds good. So that's where I was born. I lived in Iowa and Wisconsin up until about the age of 7. Then we moved to Tennessee. Um, for me growing up, I think this is what you asked, is give the whole shaboodle
Yeah, man.
story here. I hope this is okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
go
great.
for it.
For me growing up, I grew up, 7 onward in Tennessee. Love Tennessee, and so my family, we're big believers in Jesus. So we grew up going to church all the time. My mom and dad are awesome. My mom is incredibly faith-based woman. So we had a really good family life. We had 6 kids, so 5 boys and a girl. So we were very competitive. And so that was a great way to grow up. And homeschooled. I was homeschooled about 5th grade. So I'd like to think that I still ended up okay in
Yeah.
life. Homeschooling is great. I love being homeschooled. And anyway, went to school, played soccer, did all that kind of stuff. Was a good student. I graduated in I think 4th of my class in high school or something, which is cool. So then I went on to college and did accounting. My pastor told me to do accounting. That's why I did accounting. So I had no clue what I was doing. Decided to do accounting. Went throughout school, and I remember in high school, I think this will be relatable to your audience. I did FFA my senior year of high school. So you should comment if you were an FFA in high school. That would be pretty cool to see. I bet most people who listen to this were. And so I did FFA with my girlfriend at the time, as a senior, and I had never been part of a club really other than doing sports. And that was something that for me was a big deal. And I really felt connected. It was awesome. And so when I went to college, this is sort of the mentality shift that happened in my life that allowed me to actually get to where I'm at today. I decided that I missed out on a lot of really cool opportunities to meet cool people, learn a lot of cool things in high school. And so when I went to college, I decided I wanted to redefine, what's possible essentially. And my philosophy was I'm not going to miss a single opportunity that comes my way. And, I felt like going to University of Tennessee, why go there instead of play soccer at different places? I had some offers for D2 and different sports and things. And I decided to go there because I just felt like God was calling me there for people. It's a huge party school, so it definitely got me off track when I did go there, which is bad. But I got back on track, I'd like to think so, in my life. And so anyway, I went there, decided not to miss out on any opportunity, made some poor choices, made some great choices too. I decided to interview for as many leadership positions as I possibly could, which is great. I didn't get the first 10, but I got the last 3. Those are the ones that I wanted anyway. So, but the reason that mentality is so important is my January of my freshman year, I remember being in this economics class. So everyone knows now, I guess I skipped this part. I own a consulting business. I help people grow their businesses through, building out a better sales process, building out a personal brand or brand for the business, helping with online marketing, social media presence, and essentially just overhauling your entire marketing funnels, even starting with the brand, so you can sell more, grow more, and connect people with a community around what you're doing that's based on your values and purpose for your life. And it's a much, much better way of doing business than always trying to find the next lead or working really hard to generate stuff. Instead, you're building a client base that'll last the rest of your life. And so I think that's really awesome. That's what I do now. It's called the Knowledge Gap Company. And so, how to get to this point where we're there. It's like it all started when I was in that January of 2016. I was in an economics class, and I had a couple of people come in, and they made an announcement about a sales and leadership internship called Southwestern. It's actually one of the oldest sales internships in the country, started in 1855. They used to be the Bible salespeople, door to door.
Nice.
And so when that came in as a freshman, I was like, I just want to have an internship and do anything other than working at Dairy Queen, which was my very first job. That sucked. So anyway, I put my information down and got a phone call and went through this information process to learn about the Southwestern program. Decided that I was a pretty hardcore person and wanted to go and basically bash my head against the wall for 80 hours a week on straight commission, going door to door all summer long in a small town in Texas called Crum, which is a very small town that no one's ever heard of. So I was about 18 hours away from Knoxville. Have you?
Yeah.
Okay,
absolutely.
awesome. So that's where I sold my first summer doing that. So, and it's funny because the places I've sold in Oklahoma 3 summers, and I've met a lot of awesome Mennonite people. I've sold in Georgia. I sold in Southwest Virginia. I've sold all over the country, and I would particularly go sell in small towns, funny enough. So I've met a lot of really cool people, just like your audience. And they're like my favorite people. They're just the most wholesome, type people in the entire world. It's great. And it's so funny how, it's really good people. So anyway, I took that opportunity to go do this 100% risk, job that nobody wanted to do. Like nobody wakes up and they're just like, you know what? It'd be really good for me this year's like, I'm going to do door-to-door sales for 90 days. Like, let's go. Why not? Right. So nobody wakes up trying to do that, but I found myself in this internship wanting to go out here and do it. And, I remember going through training and all this kind of stuff. And like many great college students before me, I procrastinated preparing to the very last couple of days. So, but I went out there and I had an amazing experience. I probably knocked on over like 10,000 doors that summer, and I talked to 3,000 people. Ended up, having my first summer, maybe 200, 300 clients or something, which isn't all that impressive or great. But it was the foundation for this mentality that you can make anything happen if you want to.
Shed and portable garage customers often deal with heat, moisture, and humidity concerns after the building is delivered. Mobino is here with a solar-powered solution, the Zula. The easy-to-install system replaces the traditional louvered gable vents in your shed and the window in your garage door using powerful fans to improve air quality, lower temperature, and prevent mold. Visit MobinoSolarSolutions.com or call 919-924-9203 today for more information. I remember how so many people didn't do the internship because they believed it was impossible. I remember making $11,000 that summer. Nice.
As a freshman in college.
There you go.
And that was so interesting. Go ahead.
It just speaks to what's possible, man. Part of the speech I did yesterday kind of referred to the Roger Bannister's breaking the 4-minute mile. In I don't remember 1956 maybe. I don't know. It's not the year that matters to me. It's the fact that it stood unbroken, for all these years, and the for 9 years prior, the limits were 4 minute, 1 second, and some change. And experts just say we've reached the pinnacle of what the human body can possibly do. Roger Bannister broke that, and within the year, a couple other guys broke it, and since then, 1,600 people have broken the barrier, and it's now down 17 seconds to like 3 minutes and 43 seconds. And everybody's saying, well, we've reached this new limit again, right? And yet people continue to do it. I think the ladies are at four minutes and like 1 or 2 seconds. So now like the biggest next hype is, for a female runner to break that 4-minute mile. But it's really, it speaks to what's possible, and in shed sales, I think that's one of the biggest things is a lot of times people don't know what's possible, and just knowing that it is, now you're hungry for the information to how it is. You mean you sold $1 million or $2 or $3 or $4 or $5 million a year in sheds or more? Like how's that possible? Because, we've been seeing 100, 2, 3, 400,000 a year, so to not know that it's possible is one thing, but to know it, and, I got this saying that stays here in my office. It says, if you're not willing to learn, no one can help you. If you're determined to learn, no one can stop you, so like once you have the knowledge and you have the will, like there's nothing really that can, stop your success other than yourself. Right. So knowing it's possible, just to me, what I hear from that is it speaks to half the battle is knowing it's possible. The rest is going and getting it, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you just spoke to the title of my company and podcast, The Knowledge Gap. What you just said is the basis for why it's called The Knowledge Gap.
Nice.
What's possible isn't what other people say it is. It's like what you can accomplish in life is like the difference between you and your dreams is essentially just what we call the knowledge gap. You just don't know how yet. And that yet's really important. Just knowledge gaps, right? So doing well on a podcast like you've done, you may not have known that 2 years ago, but now you know it. You've bridged that knowledge gap. Now you have a successful podcast.
Man,
right? If you want to sell more, go ahead.
Well, absolutely. For me, I just, I've always enjoyed, building relationships. Matthew Dixon has a book called The Challenger Sell, and he talks about how the Challenger Sell is, the most successful seller, but everybody likes the relationship builder, and it's the second most. And I've just kind of relaxed on, finding my contentment and my happiness and being a relationship builder and hoping that sales happen out of the process. But, they say, like a leopard doesn't change its spots, that's what it's born with. So for me, it's kind of like, I don't know how to be anything other than a relationship builder and a connector, and it's just, it's my wife will tell you, if I sat down at Walmart on the bench, I'm finding out within a few minutes, what you do for a living, how long you've been married, who you are, what do you, I don't know. I'm just interested in people, and relationship comes out of that, and sales often come out of that. Man, your job with that summer doing door-to-door sales, how were you able to build such a quick relationship to see success? Because that seems to be the hard thing for an impulsive buyer, like someone coming in to buy a shed because they saw it on the side of the road. They're like, oh man, that's what I need. Or she's like, I need that she shed. That's cute or whatever. And they stop, and you got a small amount of time sometimes to build that relationship. Tell me about your success.
Sure. Absolutely. So I'm going to tap in. So just to finish that story, like fast forward it really quick. Right. So I ended up doing 7,000 hours of door-to-door sales in 6 summers. And I ended up being the top 0.5% of salespeople to ever work at the Southwestern Company, 168 years
nice.
In existence. My best summer claim to fame was during COVID 2020, when everyone else was freaking out about the economy and everyone's businesses were failing. I had my best business ever. In 11 weeks, we sold about $1 million of product in 11 weeks from scratch in Southwest Virginia, nice. Which is awesome. So we absolutely crushed it. And that was when everyone thought it was, again, impossible. So to answer your question, though, of how do you help someone, make a decision that they want to make, is essentially what's happening, right? So we can dive into the psychology of sales really quick. So I'll just walk you through some stories really quick. up from the book field. That's what we called it, the book field. It's got its own little microcosm, of jargon and stuff like that. We called it the book field because we sold educational books, apps, websites, stuff like that. So the need, right, was education. The ideal target audience was parents with children in high school through birth, right? So they're families with kids. And so obviously parents care about their kids' education, right? And, they want to read to them. They want to take care of them. They want to go be successful in life. So that's like the common thread of every single person that you would knock on the door with. So how would you basically get better at it? Well, we can go through the basics really quick of actually what's happening when you're sitting down with somebody. And then we can go through like the advanced stuff of like how I was able to, I can send you an email here if you want to edit this in later, but you can show my little, what we call a canvassing chart. But my percentages, when I would knock on someone's door, I had a 58% chance that they would let me in their house or sit down with me on their front porch.
Nice.
Which, if you know anything about sales, like the success rate of someone letting you hang out with them on their porch, if you knocked on their doors, like astronomically low, like under sub 10% for most door-to-door salespeople. And the average closing rate for a door-to-door salesperson is about 3%. My closing rate was 40% on average.
Wow.
So if I knocked on your door, you're more likely to let me in than say no. And then if you let me in, there was a 40% chance you were buying $1,200 in 20 minutes or less.
Nice. Wow. That's
like, how in the world could that possibly happen? Right. Isn't that crazy? So that's what I learned how to do. And that's what I can, teach people how to do in their high ticket sales. That's all I've ever done is high ticket sales. And that's essentially the shed industry right here. Right. So there's a lot that goes into this. And so I don't want to go way too deep with everything. And then we just lose people. So when I go through this stuff, if you have questions, just go to my website and there's a little Lion Chasers book club. Click that little contact form, fill that out, and we can get in contact with you, or just hit contact us and you can send me an email and I get all those and I'll respond and stuff like that. So if you want to learn more, that's what I do with my clients and all that kind of stuff. I'm all about it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to walk through the psychology of selling, and we're going to relate it to dating. And I think this is really important because this right here, this concept I'm about to talk about. Okay. I teach almost all of my clients, depending on where they're at in their business. Okay. Some people already are really good at this. Some people are good at this without even realizing they're good with this. And some people are not good at this. And I would say most people are probably in this category because so at my business consulting, business coaching, right? I help people grow their businesses, and I'll meet with realtors who have been doing real estate for 20 years. I'll meet with realtors who do really well in real estate, and they don't know what I'm about to say. And it's a total game changer in how you interact with your clients. It's incredible. Okay. And realtors are like professionally trained salespeople. Okay. At least that's what we'd like to think. Right. So sales is like dating. Okay. Imagine you're at a bar or church. Let's use the church example. That's probably more relatable for this, right? Imagine you're at your church, right? And you're a guy and you want to go hit on a girl. Okay. Like, think about sales for a second. We're gonna connect these. Okay, you go up to the girl. What if the first thing you said, Shannon, was like, "Hey, would you like to marry me?"
Running a successful shed business is hard work, but what if making it easy for your customer to work with you could be the key to unlocking even greater success? That's the goal of Leadferno, to make your business easy to work with by bringing text messaging into the lead and the sales process. Consumers can text with your business right from your website from any device. You and your team can work smarter with auto replies, saved reply templates, scheduled messages, and more. Be easier to work with, communicate faster, and close more leads with Leadferno. Watch a demo and start your 14-day free trial and save 33% off your first month. To take advantage of this offer, simply go to geek.com/Leadferno. It's time to turn website traffic into leads with text messaging.
What would be the reaction of that female?
Contrary to my ego, I would think that they would say absolutely not. And plus, you're married already, aren't you?
Right. Yeah. Right. So let's assume they're not married. Yeah. Of course. Right. So hilarious. Right. So exactly. So the idea is that they're going to look at you like this. What do
Sure.
What? I don't even know you. What are you talking about? What is this? Right? Like marriage, like that's like a big decision. Okay. And that bad salespeople and most salespeople do that exact same thing. Hey, here's the price. Here's all the things. Do you want to get it? Shocks people. Whoa. They're like, what? How does that? Whoa, no thanks. No. Because you don't want to rush it. Does that make sense? So sales is like dating. What would actually happen is you go up to the lady and you say, hey, like, what's your name? And you start a conversation, right? And the conversation goes well. Maybe you have similar values, maybe similar goals, a similar future. Then maybe you can get her phone number, or ask her out on a date. If the date has to go well, though, if you go to the date and it bombs, then you're not going to the next step, right? If the date goes well and so on and so forth, maybe you start a dating relationship. If that goes well, you get engaged. The engagement goes well, you get married, so on and so forth. And we'll say that is what we call the sales cycle of dating, right? To marriage, right? Does that kind of make sense? So everybody's got a sales cycle, right? And they've got these 6 or 7, steps right here that I'm about to explain. So the first one's this thing called the approach, right? So that's when the guy goes up to the girl. The mistake people make here at the approach is they sell in the approach. Wrong, bad. You're missing like 6 steps of psychology, because that's not how people make decisions. That's not how people like to buy. And you need to start selling the way people like to buy. And you can help nurture this entire process, right? With branding, with social media content, with visuals and all that kind of stuff that we're not going to talk about with the specific psychology that's happening right here. But that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to sell the way people like to buy. But that would be what we call the approach. Okay. The other things are going to be pre-approach, approach, intro, the demo, the price build up and close, the cash collection, and the referrals, marketing, and PR would be the last step there. So a lot of steps. We're going to go through each one. We're going to break them down. Okay. So imagine this. The guy goes up to the girl, and what if he knew her best friend? What if, Shannon, you were the girl's best friend? I'm the guy trying to go hit on this girl and say, hey, Shannon, who's that? And you're like, oh, that's Dorothy. We went to high school together, and she really loves sheds, And let's say I'm in the sheds. I'm like, okay, sweet. And I go up to Dorothy and I say, hey, are you Dorothy? Hey, I'm Joe. I know your best friend, Shannon, from high school. Yeah, I said you're a big shed person. Me too. How much better is that reaction to be? Astronomically different. And that concept of what you know about someone before you talk to them is called pre-approach. And pre-approach is power. And that's what people struggle with. They struggle with getting the pre-approach for new people that come in, learning how to connect quickly, right? So that's the pre-approach. That's the approach. The goal of the approach, when someone comes into your store, when somebody is working with you, when you have a prospect in general, the goal of the approach is not to sell. The goal of the approach is to get a sit down, to get someone to accept some time to spend with you. Because if they're like, hey, you're looking for a shed, that's cool. Okay, well, let's sit down. Tell me what you're looking for. If you add this simple step and you sit down and then you do this thing called the intro that I'm about to explain, your sales will increase astronomically. It is massive. Hey, I'm Joe. I own the shed. I own the shed shop, and I'm a big believer in helping people, live their dreams or whatever, right? You need to have some sort of purpose behind it. It's different for everybody. For me, it's like, hey, I'm all about inspiring people to do what inspires them by bridging their knowledge gaps, right? So just saying that and then asking like, hey, like, what are you looking for? Okay, well, hey, it takes 5 minutes. You have a spot, we can sit right here. You can just tell me what you're looking for before you go out on like the lot, right? That's a big deal. So you sit down, the introduction. Okay, this is where the sale is made. People will decide to buy your shed, your coaching program, working with you on real estate, your advertising package, anything that you're selling. They're going to decide if they're buying or not before you even show them packages, pricing, or what the heck the thing even is. Because people don't make decisions based off of the thing, because there's millions of things out there. They're all the same. They make the decision based off of if they like you, trust you, if they have the need, right? And if you're filling the need, they buy based on an idea and a feeling. So sales is a transference of emotion. That's right. And that's what people are skipping. Right. They're really skipping this part. It's huge. So how do you do an intro? The intro is a few different parts. We're not going to go through a really wordy long intro, but it really should be about 7 to 8 minutes. And the parts are like this. You have step 1 is what we call building rapport. Building rapport is where you get someone to like you. Okay. So if, for example, in your approach or in your intro, you're getting people to laugh, they're going to buy from you. That's like a key indicator that this person likes you. If they're not laughing, you're not doing a good job at building rapport. If people are like stone facing you, it's not working out. Like, you need to rethink how you're like interacting with someone. You probably should start smiling more, give a better handshake, and all of that kind of stuff, right? So you got to build rapport. How do you build rapport? How do you do it quickly? How do you get someone to like you off the street, never met you? Well, we were able to do this in 20 minutes or less and get down into the needs and the weeds of what the kids, needed about their schooling. And we were able to get people really emotional really quickly. How do we do that? So there's 5 levels of connection. Okay. This is, again, just part of building rapport. This is the psychology here. Okay. Your goal in building rapport and in this introduction, okay, that we're going through, is to connect on the first 3 levels of connection. Okay. So for all you taking notes, if you're driving, please don't write these down. Okay. Number 1 is called location, connecting on location. So just like on this call earlier, we were talking about Crum, Texas, where I had been before. And Shannon's like, I know where that is. Instant connection. Imagine you're in China, okay, and you're walking around, and I'm wearing a University of Tennessee shirt, and you're wearing a University of Tennessee shirt, and we both see each other. What do we talk about?
Absolutely.
Where we've been.
Yeah, man. You're from
University of Tennessee. We're like, hey, go Vols.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And you start the conversation. That's an initial connection. Well, you do it the same thing with everybody in your town, which is why you need to start local when you're working out and building out a business. And it grows over time as more people get to know, right? You can connect on these locations where you've been. You can start a conversation. Okay, that's easy. That's number 1. That's simple. The second thing is through observation. Observation is really important. So, for example, if you're in the shed industry and your goal is to own a shed business, and you want to increase your sales, well, you probably know what's going on in the shed business. So Shannon here could probably talk to you about what's going on in the shed business, and he's automatically going to come off as an expert, and so are you. And you can talk about things that are happening in your community, right? It's the same thing with your schools. If you knew what the teachers' names were, you knew what they taught, you knew what classes were hard, I'm observing what's happening in your community so we can connect deeper. So we would talk about those types of things. The third one, this is where you want to at least get to in your building rapport and throughout your conversation, okay, is destination. Destination is where you're going in life. Okay, how would we would connect with people is that, well, I'm in college, or I just graduated. Education is valuable. What's your long-term goal? What's your long-term goal? You want to go to college? Are you wanting to get, a trade? What are you trying to do? We would always connect what we're talking about with the future. And that's where people skip it. A lot of people can connect naturally on location. They connect naturally on observation, and they skip the destination, the most valuable and important part, because that's actually what gets you emotional. And that's what helps people realize where this fits in their life. If people don't understand how it's going to help them, they don't do it. Period. Doesn't matter how good a price, doesn't matter how great a quality, doesn't matter how cool you are. If you're not connecting on the need, it's big, right? So step number 4 and 5, I'll just go over these really briefly, but these are helpful for client nurture and getting people to come back, okay? Number 4 is perspiration. When you go through life with people, which is why a podcast is so valuable, I have almost all of my clients starting a podcast within the next 6 months, or starting to create content community around who they are and what they believe in. Because when you do things with people, there's this built trust that is so different. So for all of these door-to-door salespeople at the Southwestern company, we're all really, really, really close friends, because we're doing something that most people don't understand, that most people couldn't do, and it's extremely difficult, but we're going through it together. And so we have this strong bond. If you're an alumni of this program, you'll help each other. You'll give your shirt off your back for somebody who's done it. Okay, that's perspiration. You want that with your business. If you help somebody with a shed, you want to keep in touch with these people. They might need another one. They might just want to stay in touch. They might give referrals. They might recommend you. You need to be constantly in touch with people to where you're building this perspiration, doing life with them. The 5th one is conversation. You may almost never get here with your clients. Conversations where you can be extremely authentic. Don't have to hide your language or political views. It's just you're being you, right? And you can have a conversation with people. That's usually close friends. Sometimes you'll have a client that you've worked with for 5-6 years or whatever, and you could probably be on that conversation level, but it's really difficult and not really the goal. So the first 4 of where you want to go, and if you can do the first 3 when someone's at your store, at your lot, they will buy from you as long as they're agreeing with those three things. Okay, so that's building rapport. So how do you get them to get there? Well, hey, where are you from? Here's where I'm from. Hey, cool. What do you do for a living? This is what I do for a living. You can immediately connect on those things. Cool. Why'd you show up today? What are you looking for? Oh, sweet. Okay, and then you transition. Okay, well let me ask you a few quick questions. This is the second part here of the introduction. We're going real deep here. I hope this is okay. This is supposed to be as helpful as possible for everybody's listening. So, okay, good. So for after you build rapport, they like you say, hey, by the way, can I ask you a few questions so I can figure out what might be helpful? Now, as you're saying that, a big mistake people do is they don't set the table. They don't set up expectations. Most of sales is expectation management. Okay. So when I talk about setting the table, this is what it means. You're setting up what's going to happen so people don't interrupt you. They don't leave, and they're not confused.
Yes.
Okay. It builds trust, transparency, and honesty. Okay. So it's very huge. So you say, hey, listen, Shannon, thanks for coming. You seem really cool. I love that you're from Paducah, Kentucky. This is really cool. I've been up there before, whatever. Right. So you're connecting and all that stuff. So, hey, well, I know that you're looking for a shed. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions so I can kind of figure out what might be helpful for you? Okay, sweet. And, after I ask you some questions, I'll kind of tell you like what we do here, what we're all about, and some things that might be helpful. If all of that sounds pretty cool, we can take a tour. I can start showing you the ones I think would be helpful based on your specific needs and vision. If you like it, that's great. We can run through some prices. If you don't like it, no worries. We'll get you on your way. If the prices look great, that's awesome too. If you want to look at that, no problem either way. Just let me know at the end and we'll kind of get through it. So let's get to those questions. And so you're letting them know what you're going to do. And so they're not like, can we go to the lot? Why are we sitting here? Okay, cool. They understand that you're trying to serve them. Okay. So then you ask these questions. The questions are important. The psychology of questions is really different for every industry. And you've got to ask questions that get you the right information that you need to actually connect with destination. This is huge. So questions we would ask in the education industry, it's like, cool. What are your grades like? Are you a straight A kid? You know, do you do sports? Are you busy? What's their life like? Where, cause our utility of the products was it would save you time and frustration and help you get your schoolwork done faster, right? So we're trying to figure out, are they busy? Do they have a need there, right? So the same thing with shit. Yeah, what do you want to use it for? Do you own a business? You know, what are you going to store there? How big of a space do you need? So there's the logical questions, right? And then you've got the emotional questions. Okay, how soon do you need it? Why do you need it? What's been frustrating about not having it? Those are emotional questions. What's been frustrating? That's when you say what's been frustrating, you'll see people change from disinterested to this is, you're like, okay, all right, yeah, okay, we can probably help with that, you know. So you start with logical, you're figuring out the dimensions of what you're going to show them, right? And then you're getting emotional, and they're telling you all the things. You're like, okay, well, I think I know what I need. So what we do, and you need to have like 2 or 3 main selling points of why they should work with you over everybody else, and why investing in what you do is huge. Well, so ours was like, one of our main reasons that education is just super valuable for people. It's invaluable for their kids. I mean, why is it important to you that your kids get a better education, the best education possible? And you're connecting, right? And they're like, boom. All right. And you're like, well, I know what everyone's been telling me is that school's changed a lot. And so there's a big need that parents can't help. So then you basically just say they can't help but this is for. So you're like creating that need. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you need to do the same thing for industry. So obviously every shed industry is a little bit different. You might be building, you might go on site with people, you might custom build there and transport it, whatever it is. You need to come up with your 3 selling points of why they should work with you and why this is valuable long-term. Having a shed, having the extra storage space for inventory. Again, you can tailor it. And that's something that, I teach my clients that's going to be way too complex for just this 45-minute podcast. But so you go to the next section, right? They've seen everything, you've gone through your value. And this right here will help you close people on the spot in a way that makes them feel good and makes you feel really good too. I'm not a hard closer. I'm not a person who twists arms. I never advocate for the car salesman approach of just trying to get people to sign no matter what. That's not what you want to do. I don't think it's a good look, good brand. And in fact, it makes people avoid car dealerships because the people are so freaking, they're just so pushy. So you don't want to be pushy. That's what the buying atmosphere does. Really good salespeople use this thing called the buying atmosphere. Okay. And it's not taught a lot. So really listen up to this. So a buying atmosphere is where you do 2 things. One, you set up a decision. That's the really, really valuable part while you give people a way out. You let them off the hook. Okay. This is how you create urgency with people. She said, hey, Shannon, I'll tell you what, I'll go ahead and show this for you since it sounds pretty cool to you, right? Okay, cool. I'll go ahead and show you some of the sheds I think would be really, really helpful for you. If you like something, awesome. Just let me know. We can look at it. We can look at your prices. We can help you like all these other people. And you want to have testimonials of other people you've worked with. Okay. Side note. And you say, hey, listen, but if you don't see anything you like, no worries. Just tell me no at the end. The only favor I'm asking is, I work a ton of hours every week and you're busy and it's probably an enigma that you're even out here because, making the trip, I totally understand the drive time. So just take a good look. And at the end, just let me know just one way or the other. Is that fair enough? And they're like, okay. And they agree to make a decision. They agree to make a decision after your tour. And that is ridiculously helpful. If they tell you no, you can always tell them to come back. But it helps them say yes if it's something they want and they see something they like. Okay. So after that buying atmosphere, you've gone to this thing called the demo. The demo is short. Don't make it boring. It needs to be the most enthusiastic thing possible when you're showing the shed. You're like, yes, it has this. And it needs to be extremely detailed. And it'd be even best if you had a tablet or something you're walking around with pictures of all the different things that go into creating the shed to where they can see the highest possible quality. And a lot of people just show the shed and they're not showing all the other small stuff. It makes a big deal, but it needs to be like 3 minutes or less for each one that you're going to go show. I'd say almost faster than that because people are emotional and they get above what we call the buying line. And when they're really excited, then you found something they like and you close on it, they'll say yes. And if you wait forever and they get really tired and bored and sweaty from walking around, they're like, I just want some ice cream or I want to go like chill. I don't want to buy anything anymore. So you got to go fast. You can't take forever with people. They hate taking forever. Okay. So that's what the demo is. You're just proving your value. You're like, here's the way we craft it. It's better, or whatever. It's our customer service is better. You're just showing them that that's actually true. Because people don't really believe what you say. They believe half of what you say. They believe 100% of what they say. That's why his questions are so valuable.
Hello, shed sellers. Let's take a moment to discuss the shed customer and meeting their expectations. I remember growing up in the neighborhood where a certain percentage of the houses had well-manicured lawns and well-manicured homes. These were the type of individuals who felt it was important to purchase a well-constructed home or vehicle or maybe equipment to help maintain the quality of the item. As shed manufacturers, we seek to provide a well-built quality shed. We want the customer to feel satisfied that their hard-earned money has been well spent on a product that will last. At LuxGuard, we believe adding high-quality rubber flooring to your line of sheds makes sense to the customer and adds value the customer can appreciate. With each year, sheds are becoming more complex. The customizations we are seeing are virtually endless. LuxGuard not only gives a complimentary aesthetic appearance for their shed, but also protects the floor from spills and keeps cleanup simple. Offer your customer the customer service they seek with LuxGuard. At LuxGuard, we are committed to delivering exceptional customer service and innovative products to help our customers achieve their goals. We strive to meet the evolving needs of the customers. To speak with one of our ready-to-serve customer product specialists, simply call 336-468-4311. To see our product and view an installation video, just visit our website at luxguard.com. LuxGuard, the floor that lasts a lifetime.
Okay, so you have that demo. You need visuals. Okay, if that's all you get from the demo, create some visuals. It's a game changer. At the end of your demo, okay, the psychology is, wow, this is pretty cool. You want to get them to say that. You want to confirm that this is stuff that they like. So you're going to ask them 3 questions called trial closing questions. If they give you positive answers, it's like a green light, go to the next step. Okay. If they give you some negatives, you need to keep showing and figuring out what they're looking for and then show them the right thing. If you close when they're not ready, they'll say no. If you wait too long after they are ready, they'll say no. So this is really important to decide whether or not you should close or not. Closing just means bringing to a decision. Okay. So in the trial close, you're saying, hey, like, isn't this amazing? Isn't this great? Shannon, what was your favorite part so far? And they're like, this. They say 3 positive things. You're like, okay, sweet. This is what we call the buying question in sales that people don't usually do. It's if you're ever not sure if they're going to buy, it's because you're not asking this question. I always know at this point if they're going to buy by the answer to this question. Hey, Shannon, if I could get this shed to you in 2 weeks based on what you said, And if it was this, 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 and this, I mean, that's something that'd be really valuable for you. Is that something you'd be pretty interested in? And they say yes, it means they're ready to buy and they just need to know how it works. Okay. So that's when you move to the next thing, the price buildup, right? You know, I would do it in education. Hey, if I could show you something to help your kids go to college, that's something you'd be interested in. You say yes. Okay. So we go to the next section. This is the price buildup and the close. These are important because they need to be very relaxed, but they need to be very logical at the same time. So sticker shock is the biggest reason people don't buy when it's something they want, it's something they like, and they know they need it. They sometimes don't buy, they procrastinate buying because of what we call sticker shock. Sticker shock is just seeing a big number and being like, whoa, I can't make that decision. Okay. So you got to get over that, right? How do you get over that? Well, there's a couple ways you can do it. And first off, you got to not call it a price or a cost. You got to call it an investment. The psychology around the word investment means that I am doing something that's going to make me more money later. I'm going to do something that makes my life better. So you've got to always use the word investment. Never say price, never say cost. Okay? If you say those words, it's bad. So I know you're probably one of the price. If you can throw in some humor here, I always used to say it's only $1 million for this. Whatever, people laugh. Anything to just disarm people and allow them to chill, right? And you say, you know, I know that sheds are super important for this reason for that specific person, you know, and so we really look at it as an investment. I know investments like this can be pretty expensive. I mean, a lot of sheds, and this is where you show your competition's prices. A lot of people don't show their competition's prices because they're scared, but you need to find people who have prices that are probably worse than yours or similar. And it's okay if they're similar for a few reasons, because you can show them what you do differently, what's better. I always show a guy, Simon Sinek, and he charges $4,900 for 4 hours of his time. I'm like, you know, you can look at that in the consulting business growth world and be like, wow, that's a ton of money for 4 hours. But think about this. What if you made $10,000 from that investment? Is it worth it? What if you made 20? What if you made $100,000 because you met with him because he bridged your knowledge gap? It would have taken you 5 years, but he taught you in 4 hours what it would have taken you 5 years to learn. Would that be worth it? That's exactly right. That's business growth coaching, right? That's a consulting. That's why you ought to work with me, right? Does that make sense? So you say, hey, you know, the sheds, they're usually this much, but they don't last as long. Ours lasts twice as long. And we come out there to service it every year, whatever it is for you, right? Like you just got to throw in your things and we just charge this much, which isn't bad. That's not bad at all. You go and say that. I mean, most of my clients tell me they spend, this is great for almost any industry. Most of my clients say they spend more on a vacation where they just hang out, basically blow the money, and they don't get any return on their investment. This is cheaper than that. And for me, what I would say to my clients is I help you grow your business so you can actually make money from it. Isn't that funny?
Man,
they're like, yeah, I think everyone just tells me it feels like a much better investment in their future than just blowing money on fireworks.
Yeah.
People do every summer. They're like, yeah. And that's what we call an emotional close. We're helping as they see the price, there's a dip in emotion. They're like, oh man, that's a lot of money. So you got to get them back up. And that's what that emotional close is. You're reconnecting with their destination from the introduction right here. And if you do that, your closing percentage is going to go up 10 to 15%. So you say that, they're ready. They're like, oh, okay, yeah. And then that's when you have your different packages or whatever it is. And I'm a big fan of having 3 packages for whatever it is. Every industry is a little bit different, but you want to have 3 options on the screen. You know, a low cost, a middle cost, and a high cost. And so just a little side note for psychology, your middle package needs to be closer to your bigger package than your smaller package. So if your small package is $500 for whatever shed, and the next package is 10,000 or whatever, 5,000, whatever the numbers are, right? Then you want your 5,000, you want your third package to be 7,000. If they're going to buy 5,000, it's a $4,500 difference. They might as well spend the extra 2,000 on the 7,000, get the premium thing. If it's close to the other one, let's say it's 500 and 2,000 and 7,000. Well, it's only 1,500 to go here. But that's a big jump to the other one. They'll buy smaller packages if your pricing's off, which is kind of interesting. So when you're showing the packages, you're like, yeah, so which one seems best for you? That is a golden closing question. Which one seems best for you? They're like, oh, the gold seems really good. Whatever. The third package, second package. Like, okay, sweet. So how that works is I can just send you an invoice for it. We get all that taken care of. You got to tell them the next steps. That's the part of closing that's important. They're always wondering, how does it get delivered? We're going to deliver it to you. We're going to build it for you. We're going to do this. It takes this many days. This is exactly what's going to happen. blah, 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 blah. And you've got to explain the process. And when you get there and they've said they like gold and they know the process, you're like, yeah, do you think that would work for you? That's asking for the sale. Most people don't ask for the sale. They're like waiting for the other person to like tell you and give you the green. No, you got to ask for the sale. You say, hey, you feel like that would be helpful for you? Or do you feel like, yeah, do you want to go ahead and do that? And they're like, yeah, okay, sweet. And when you just say, hey, do you want to go ahead and do that? That they decide, they say yes. And then it's just cash collection from there, right? So you've closed them. They've come to a decision. Now, if they were to tell you no, you need to have like a backup plan of like, okay, no worries, right? That's called handling an objection. That's something we can go into. I'll go into really briefly is when someone gives you an objection, doesn't mean they don't want to buy. It just means they're not ready based on the information. So you need to add some information, fill their knowledge gap. Don't you like that knowledge gap right there?
I like it.
Yeah,
Good
great.
plug,
Comes
good
up all
plug.
the time. They've got a knowledge gap, right? They've got a knowledge gap in understanding why this is valuable, why they should do this. They have a knowledge gap. So your job in sales is to fill the knowledge gap. Okay. So always what you do is you oh, no worries. You acknowledge the objection. Oh, no worries. Yeah, maybe that's like not in the budget right now. Or they say something like that. People don't say what they mean. They don't say it right at all. So when they say it's not in their budget, they have the money. They've shown up. They have the money. That's just, they're just pushing it off because they don't want to say the same thing because they want to be rude or something. So, hey, no worries. Totally get it. This actually happened with some of my other clients. You need to have a story for this scenario. This person said this. Here's a thoughtful solution. What we did is we did a payment plan or something, or see what I'm saying? So you come up with, you need to have like different scenarios. We actually do a payment plan. They started with the smaller one and they did payments like this. And they found that it was a lot easier because they really needed it to save on whatever inventory costs, whatever it is, right? Or whatever they're getting. And that way they could afford it now. Yeah, I mean, would that be a little helpful? They're like, oh yeah, that'd be great. Okay, you guys maybe just want to try that? And they're like, oh sure, that's great. We can actually afford it. We don't want to spend $7,000 now. We'll do $200 a month or whatever it is. Whatever your packages are. Payments are a really great thing in high ticket sales industries. So you've done all that. You've closed. They signed. You need to have paperwork for them to sign. There's a big psychology around signing. You need to have a contract. I'm sure most of you have some sort of contract on here. At least I hope so. Okay, good. So you sign a contract and then you're collecting cash. You're sending an invoice, you're getting a card, you're doing a check or whatever. And, you're explaining the payments or whatever. They hand over some money, they do whatever. And you're going over all of the invoice and sending them the receipt and all that. This part right here is often skipped. And this helps people not cancel. Okay. It's called buyer's remorse. And the step that people skip is what we call the solidification question. And solidification question, say, hey, Shannon, this is great. I'm so excited for you. What's the biggest reason you bought the shed today? So the reason that's important is because they remember why they bought it, and it makes them feel good. And instead of leaving, just paid $7,000 and walking straight out and then thinking I just paid that $7,000, they walk out and they say, yeah, I'm really excited about this. This is why we're getting it. And that's all they talk about is how it's going to help them instead of how much money they just spent. So if you want to lower your cancellation,
they almost become like the best salesman in the room once they're convinced. Once they've affirmed their purchase, they'll convince you of why they should have done it. Once they have affirmed it. I mean, and it takes that. But if you've left doubt, gosh, and we've all experienced buyer's remorse, so everybody knows what that feels like. But that affirmation, whenever I go home and I bought something that I've really affirmed that I needed, I start telling everybody else why it's a good idea at the house. I got this. Look at what I'm going to be able to do with this. Oh my goodness. I don't know what I've been doing without this. Whatever it is. It doesn't even matter what it is. And then who knows, in a year from now, I'm like, I have no idea why I bought that.
Yeah, definitely. I not encourage you to buy things that you're not going to ever use, but yes, so that's the idea, right? They feel really good about it. Now, here's another thing that you can get really, 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 really good at, and this is a step skipped by most people, is they don't take a picture with their clients to post online. They need to take a picture every single time. Why is this valuable? One, you get them to like your page, social media, so they'll see your posts. Two, they share it to all of their friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
And all of their friends now see that they just bought from you over everyone else. And you can even have them share a little video of you telling everyone about what you're doing. So all of their friends start seeing it too. that make sense? So it's a huge, massive difference to get that free marketing. It costs $0.
That's exactly
so you have
right.
a page
Gosh,
and for them
man.
to share something, right?
I feel like we should just, for one of the things I love to do with podcasts. There's so many things I want to talk about here, and we're going to be probably limited on time, and I can see us doing a second episode in the future for sure. But I want to just take that and make it a soundbite. What you just said, the free marketing. Everybody's always trying to measure marketing dollars, and it's like, man, referrals is the absolute best opportunity for free marketing. It's the absolute best opportunity. I mean, it's a warm lead, already. They've already trusted you to buy. They're going to trust you with their family's money too, to suggest you, if you just follow up on that, follow up on those opportunities to do that. I know you're kind of there at the end of the sales process, and so many things I took down a couple little notes. One of the things, money objection. One of the things that I've been told, and it seems to be true, is, typically whenever people don't know how to say no to you, the path of least resistance is to say, I'm sorry, I just, I don't have the money. The money objection is what people go to most because it's the most relatable. Everyone understands or has been in a position to where they can't afford something. Maybe you started out with a Honda Civic, and then next thing you know, you were looking at a Lambo, and it's like, I can't afford it. I can't afford that Lambo. And people get that because they're like, he's not lying. He's telling the truth. He probably can't afford the Lambo because he drove in here in a Honda Civic, right? That's such a big gap. You know what I mean? And money to spend. So they understand that, hey, you got to go back and go through the course, right? Maybe you need to step up to something that's a little bit nicer, but you don't have to go straight to the top. But people understand the money objection. So that's why it seems like it's the path of least resistance for people to go to. Uncovering that objection, you're only going to do that with questions. You know what I mean? Finding out the budget ahead of time. Starting podcast, you talked about starting podcast. I mean, this, even being on the podcast is perfect content creation. It's the reason why I've pitched to the shed industry. If you own a shed business, a shed hauling business, a manufacturing business, if you're a shed seller, you can chop up this content whenever you do an interview with the Shed Geek podcast, and you can put it on your website, you can put it on your social media. I mean, with all the different tools that are coming out now for prospecting, I just did a speech on this yesterday about things like Chat GPT and how they're just absolutely making the world so much easier to communicate and create content and different things. Just doing a podcast, man, and chopping that up and building, I'll ask questions a lot of times to a shed manufacturer, like, why do you do this, man? Like, why do you do this? Why do you build sheds for a living, and like, what does that mean for your customer? And if your answer is, I built sheds because Dad built sheds and I don't know anything else to do, it's like, yeah, we got to get away from that. We got to connect with the customer. That's why you build sheds. But like, what drives you? Going back to the Simon Sinek, your competition there, right? Like, find your why. I mean, it's such a good, well-spoken moment in business growth. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you building sheds? That's going to have the emotional connection on that podcast. That's going to allow you to put that on your website, put that on your social media feeds where people understand, I build sheds, man, because I really believe in making a good product, because nowadays it doesn't seem like anybody believes that. They buy everything from overseas or whatever. And I want to be different. I want to build something I can be proud of and that they like. And that connects with people. Absolutely. And you can create that content through video, through podcasting, and so many different things. And then, I wrote down a note. I try to do this with each show. I appreciate your first job was Dairy Queen because mine was Piggly Wiggly grocery store. So I don't know why that seemed important for me to write down, but I wanted the audience to know for some reason. So,
That's good. That's good. And I'll share my why too. I probably should have done that at the beginning, but the reason I do what I do is I just think that people are capable of so much more than they realize, and they can do whatever they want. I just feel like people settle a lot in life for a mediocre, opaque version of what life truly offers, in a lot of different ways. And I just think that that's what I try to do. I just want to inspire people this is on my website, inspire people to bridge their knowledge gaps, build confidence, and think bigger so that they can do what inspires them, so they can add value to people around them. So together we can all make the world a better place, So it's about helping people. I always, with my clients, am asking the questions. I really do try to work mostly with Christian leaders because, they have this purpose of what they want to do. And the goal in business isn't to make money, it's to help people. And the money comes second. That's really the better way to look at it. And there's just this really hard push, I think, online and just in the world to just money's more important than anything else. And there's people who go make millions and billions of dollars and they just selfishly hoard it instead of helping as many people as they possibly can. So I'm all about purpose-driven, businesses. And if your whole goal is to just get really rich, I think you're just missing out. And I think it's pretty common and pretty true that the people who, are money motivated only, end up getting pretty depressed and struggle with relationships and make some poor decisions that they regret. So,
Les Brown always says, everybody always says, I don't need to be rich. They just want to find out for themselves, and it seems to be some truth in that. But, for me, the Apostle Paul talks a lot about contentment and trying to seek contentment over riches, oftentimes is the key, because if you can be content with, $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year, where the other guy, takes a level of $200,000 or $300,000 a year to be content or more. Really, it's seeking your contentment and then adjusting your pay to what it is that makes you happy. So really, I'm more on a search and a quest for happiness and contentment than I am money. I can honestly say I think I could have made more money doing other things, taking other directions, even taking some different options. I mean, I genuinely love what I do. Got an offer on the podcast within 3 months of it. You know what I mean? Pretty much being live, and it was significantly more than what I had invested. And I'm like, no, I really want to do this. I want to keep doing it. So I want to maintain the direction of it. And sometimes I wonder, hey, did I make the right choice? And I'll always wonder that. But I think, at the end of the day, I feel really good about it. I sleep and I go, I made my decision, whether I made a whole bunch more or not. And I don't know, man, I just find myself in a good place. My wife's going to be full-time with me starting next week. Dude, we didn't even hit on so many. I'm looking forward to that. You got to understand.
There's so much to talk about. Yeah.
Me and my wife have been together since we were 15. I mean, she went through breast cancer a couple years ago. So life has just changed for us, but I'm so excited for her to come on and start working with me next week because we work so well together. So I'm like, when we start talking about contentment, that's like one of the things that's so exciting to me is that me and her can work together. Some people say, how could you do that? We'd strangle each other, and I'm like, I don't know, man, we're a well-oiled machine. We just, we work well together, and she really does, complete that side of the parts that I just don't have. And it just works well together. But yeah, there's so many things that we need to discuss: sales, recruiting, leadership, business startups, branding, social media, lead generation. We talked a lot about mindset, attitude through the process, but habits, good books, building confidence. I mean, there's just, we could literally do like a 10-hour podcast. But what I hope is,
I know.
what I hope is that like the and I really want to market this and I'll put this out on Facebook and things that, this was really about the sales process. And you can find that there are common denominators across all sales processes that will match the shed industry. And then there's some nuance to specifically just success in the shed industry. As you said before, you got to tailor your questions to certain things. But gosh, your energy and your success gives you credibility to talk about this sales process. And I can't help but think that there's people that's going to want to know more about it, talk more with you, look into plans or packages that you might have. Just remind people again of where they can go if they want to contact you.
Yeah, absolutely. So the simplest way is just going to go to my website, joeignace.com. You can go on there, hit contact us, fill it out. I'll get an email and a phone number, and I'll shoot you a phone call back and shoot you an email and all that kind of stuff. If you're a business owner, I have a YouTube channel where we help business owners grow their business. So if you want to join that, it's youtube.com/the knowledge gap. Depending on when this, show comes out, it might be called youtube.com/Joe Ignace. So if you don't see the knowledge gap one, we're switching it to my name for ease of Googling basically here in the next week or two. So just so you know, so the website's going to have it all though, and those links should be fixed on there. But that's where I would go. But I do invite everyone on the podcast, since most of the people on here in the shed industry own a business. I have a book club for business owners and entrepreneurs called the Lion Chasers Book Club, where we chase our problems like lions. It's awesome. It is an incredible book club where every month I'm going to be doing a free workshop on how to apply the book that we read to growing your business. It's going to be live streamed every month, and the first actual workshop's going to be June 14th. So everyone's invited to that. And if you're anywhere within Knoxville, we're actually having the live event at a venue, which you can see on the Facebook group. And if you go to joeignace.com and click join the Lion Chasers Book Club, it will redirect you to the Facebook group and all that kind of stuff. And you can go on to the Facebook group, Lion Chasers Book Club, and you can see it on there as well. So a lot of places to connect. I really hope to reach out and talk to some of you guys.
Yeah, man. Absolutely love it. Love your energy. I'm going to hit, believe it or not, man, we're like in an hour, and it's crazy how fast it goes.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to stop recording. I just want to chat with you just real quick, but, man, thank you so much for being on here today. And I sure hope the audience, appreciate that walk through sales process, psychology exercise we just did. Cause, wouldn't be surprised if there's so many people who've just never had any initial basic level training in sales process. So, I would think they would appreciate that moment. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the way I was thinking about it, is that you're saying there's not a lot of training, and that's what I'm really good at, is the training.
Hey,
it's like, oh, here's like how it works, So I was like, here, I'll bring that, and maybe that'll help some people. So
we bridged the knowledge gap today. That's what we did.
We bridged the knowledge gap in sales psychology today, at least the very basic.
That's right. Gap. Thanks, Joe. 1 second here.